Thank you for staying with us. As the national protest approaches, the federal government is growing uneasy. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, called on an emergency meeting to avert the demonstration. Despite government efforts, the Nigeria Labour Congress has remained resolute in its support for the protest. With the protest imminent, a showdown between the government and the people looms around the corner. Joining us to discuss the trend via Zoom is Darlington Umoru, a security consultant and former consultant to the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. And in the studio is Executive Director of the Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access Development, former Uni Lorry and now student activist of the 80s, former Lagos State Chairman of CDHR, former ASU-LASU Vice Chairman, Comrade Dr. Kayode Okwefa. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us.
Thank you.
Now, there are a cross-section of Nigerians who are saying that they must go ahead with the hashtag End Bad Governance protest, despite government saying that they should be given time and that so many things they have been putting in place. And then the police also came out to say, you know what, to ensure that we protect you appropriately, we are asking for your details so that we can, monitor whatever is going on and address this issue. And then, this person's raised concerns with regard to that, pointing at the 2012 protest, saying that the police come out to request for details of these persons who came out to protest at that time. There's just been a back and forth with regards to this issue. Let's get your perspective and perception of how government is handling this matter and how the people who are insisting on going on the protest are going about it.
Yeah, thank you and good morning. Let me first start by saying a protest on its own is nothing bad.
Yes, it's a constitutional right.
It's a constitutional right and it's a way of people who have different opinion to express it. It is also an opportunity for people who don't have the regular voices to make a point. And the concern of many is the forms and types of protest. A sit-in is a protest. Strike is a protest. Walk-through is a protest. And a gathering at any point to express. Even social media advocacy can be a form of protest. So there's no form of protest. Now, also, like Franklin Roosevelt said, there are many ways to move forward. But there's only one way to stand still. So the purpose of a protest is critical at any point. And that you will understand by first understanding that as far back as 1927, we've had protests in this country. 1927-26, the Aba riot. We've had the Abeokuta Women's Riot, 1947. Then for many years, we don't have national protest, but we have protests around Nigerian campuses. The Anglo arms, whatever, when they wanted to establish a military base in Nigeria. That was led by a Nigerian student at the University of Ibadan. Then you come down to 1976, we had the Ali Must Go. I'm going through this for us to conceptualize. In the last few weeks, we've been talking about NSAS 2002. No. These are just the most recent. We had Ali Must Go by the University of Lagos students and nuns before NANS was established. In that protest, and the protest of Abarayo, the protests of Abeokuta women, there were fatalities. Shegun Okeowo led nuns, now nuns, then student body. And something Ojo was killed on the campus of University of Lagos. I was just in secondary school, and I had to trek from Ikeja to Ojo Elegba, where I live. And all of us joined, bringing our leaves, not knowing what was going on. Then it went down to 1983 when you had the no to commercialization of education led by Nigerian students. Your own Agumbiade Arogundare was then the NAS president. And that was when Nigerian students came together and said, no, we are not going to pay tuition. And that's why you still have 45 naira until recently also. Then you add in 1985, or is it 86, when some students were killed at ABU, and the entire Nigerian student went on the Ali Must Go. Ango Abdullahi, the vice chancellor. It was national, it was Nigerian students. So if you look at all this, you've seen women, you've seen the young people, Nigerian students. Then we came down to the more recent ones, that is the 2012, that is the Occupy Nigeria. One thing you will see is that there are clear vision of what these protests are all about. Now, talking of the current protests and the most recent ones, I believe the right to protest has not been denied by the government. What the government is saying is also the right and the responsibility of government to dissuade and speak to the organizers. What are the issues? I have gone online. I have searched. I have watched videos to put down all that. I've seen about 14 points while people want these protests to go on. It starts from end to hunger, end to poverty. If you go to SDG goals, 1, 2, 3, you see end to hunger. Those are international protocols. So then it comes down to, I think I have a list of end to corruption. Now, the issue at hand is, what is the government doing about? These are voices of people who feel or who think differently. Is the government addressing the issue? I think yes. Can we give this government some chance to address the issue? Yes. Has this government shown capacity to address the issue? Yes. On May 29, the president made his inaugural speech, 2023. He clearly mentioned the economic situation. Then on June 12, the president made the June 12 Democracy Day speech. He mentioned there are challenges and is coming with reforms. These reforms will take something out of all of us. We all agree. Proud to that, at the campaign, the three main political parties said fuel subsidy must go. They said the floating of the naira is the way to go. Now, when it got to July 30th, 2023, the president made a presidential address to the nation. What was the topic? Economic situation in Nigeria. The president retreated. These reforms will come with some take from all of us. But he is convinced that this is the path to go. October 1, again, the president came out and spoke to Nigeria. These are the reforms we are taking. These are the effect it has had. I heard you loud. There are hardship. So the president has not said there are no hardship. He has not said there is no hunger. Even the SDG goals, as far back as how many years, understand there is hunger, there is this thing in the entire world. So it came down to 2024. The reforms have started. There are many ways to move forward. There is only one way to stand still. What the government is saying, be it police or whichever agents of government is that, please give the government a chance. You have made the issues. The government has said is addressing these issues. What else do we need to do? Must we go to the streets where we can't have full control? I mentioned some protests for you. You can attach names to all those protests. You can attach people to all those protests. And that is how protest goes. Now, who are the proponents of protests in this world? You have the Mahatma Gandhi, Satyagraha, non-violence protest. You have Martin Luther King, United States, non-violence protest. You have Malcolm X, by all means possible. So we have seen patterns, but the pattern that is evolving, coming from from 2012 to NSAS to now, and the kind of rhetorics is what is making Nigerians apprehensive. Do we really need another shutdown? Do we really need another slowdown to the economy? The economy is already slow, not only in Nigeria, worldwide, but us is what we are concerned about.
Absolutely.
Is what we are concerned about. The prices of food, the government has emptied the storages. The government is opening up importation. Students issue. The government has opened up the student loan. I am not in support of increment in tuition fee. I voted against it at the Senate. of the University of Lagos in 1995. I voted against it at the floor of the cabinet of the Lagos State government in 2011, and I still stand by that. But what, as the government, because you can't ask students to pay tuition when you have not put alternative. So government has said the money that I would rather give to the university, I will give it to you. You go and pay it. So there is a ongoing conversation on that.
But that is part of the demands they are making.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it's already on.
They don't want loans. So, like you mentioned earlier, it's just two people speaking differently. To issues, but there must be a common ground. And as it is often said, there has to be a table where these conversations are had. But are these persons willing to come to the table to have that conversation? Is the government also willing to have them come to the table to have this conversation? Because they said they want the government to speak to them.
Government must speak to them. I agree. But what I'm saying is that I can see clearly. I've told you I've participated in many protests. I've been part of protests.
We hear you.
So I understand. Right. What I'm saying is that the reforms that are ongoing, are they addressing the issues? If it is the belief of the organizer they are not addressing it, then the organizers and the government must see it. Government is saying they are open for discussion. Any protest that you don't see clear leadership who are ready to talk, the end result is not guaranteed. I can tell you that. When the NSAS protest was going on, I monitored online everything, was watching, and I thought, so if this protest goes beyond day 5, it's going to be anarchy. Because the leadership control was lacking and gradually disappearing. Some are pulling out. Yes. Now, in this case, people have shown up. We have started seeing faces to the protest. I think government just need to invite them for discussion. You need to talk. If they invite them, will they show up? If they don't show up, government should find a way to. And what is government doing? Government has called different sectors, different traditional rulers. They've called student bodies. NANS has dissociated. The labor groups are saying they are not part of the protest, but they believe the protesters have a right. The Christian bodies have come up, please share your protest. The Islamic groups have come up, please share the protest. What you see is a convergence of Nigeria saying, yes, we've heard you loud and clear. This is not the time for a street demonstration. This is not the time. What we need now is for us to come with ideas, sit down at the table and find a way out. We have to move forward as a nation. Absolutely. We can't continue standing on the same position.
You know, and so many persons have argued that those persons that were brought to the table for consultations were not really the representative of the people, so to speak. But we'll be back to you on that. Darlington Omoro is with us now. Darlington, if you can hear me, the DSS is asking, you know, some persons to come forward with their details as regards this protest. And so many persons have, you know, portrayed apprehension to an extent, looking at the NSAS protest. So can you educate us on why it is necessary for persons to come forward as leaders of the protest, as members or those who participate in the protest to ensure that it doesn't resolve in an anarchy?
About security concerns. As we speak now, just like some persons are talking, is the situation, the level of insecurity in the nation now, how will it accommodate any protest? As we are, people are talking about how to go on this protest, the terrorists in Nigeria, the bandits in Nigeria are also working out their plans to perhaps maybe take part in all of this. That is what is bringing about the security concern. I'm more concerned about the security aspect of the implication of this supposed protest being talked about. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday, we heard about a police station hit by the security, the bandits, or well, the terrorists, whichever way you want to see it. Now, let's be frank and be realistic. Attention now, most part of the security attention now has been diverted to how this protesting can be controlled, and so a lot of attention is being removed from the activities of bandits and the terrorists. it is very necessary for some of these persons to show their faces and get clearance from security agencies so that the security agencies themselves will be able to say these are the persons responsible for this protest if the protest eventually goes on. Majority of Nigerians have talked about the implications of why we should not have this protest at this point in time. But one of the areas many of these persons who are even talking about this protest are not looking at is whether the terrorists or the bandits would hijack this protest, or why this protest is going on and security attention is focused on those places, how these terrorists and bandits will begin to unleash criminal activities on the people on the other side of the divide. Have we thought about that? We have not been completely able to conquer insecurity in Nigeria. Insecurity is on the high at the moment, and then we are talking about protest that will take away the attention of security agencies. And so it is necessary that there have been so many insinuations and so many suspicion about the those of them who are actually behind this protest. A few of them have actually identified that they will carry it out, but is that all of the leadership of those who are pushing for this protest? We want to know, security agencies also want to know, whether some persons who have some criminal records or who have links with terrorists or bandits have a hand in all of this. So come talk with the security agencies and then explain to them and then tell them who and who are involved, who and who are pushing for this protest. We know there's hunger in the land. We know they also have a right, Nigerians have a right, it's constitutional to protest. But would you at the same time be able to guarantee that the peaceful protest will not degenerate into riots, where criminal activities will not take place, where vandalism will not take place, where robbery will not take place, where banditry will not take place? These are some of the things these persons need to clear. And then the identity of these persons need to also be seen, you know, not the faceless ones. We want to see them physically. Everybody is facing the situation. We are all in this same country, seeing what is happening. But my challenge is the security concerns at this moment. Is it the right time? Is this the right time actually for us to begin to look into a protest and all of that? Why not negotiate with the government?
Darlington,
Labour had theirs.
if you can hear me, just to be very clear, this information or their details that they will be submitting is not to ensure protection if the protest were to occur, but to conduct a background check on them.
What is about the background check? Profiling. What is about the profiling? Is to know who they are and who are involved. I said that earlier on, and I said that they will want to also find out whether some persons with criminal records or criminal links with bandits or terrorists will also be having a hand in this protest. There's nothing wrong in the protest in itself. Let's not run away from that. There's nothing wrong. But who are those who are really going to be involved in this protest? That's what the security agencies want to know. Is their constitutional right also to know those who want to organize the protest, and then try to see whether any of them have links with whether with the terrorists or bandits. The security concern is what is uppermost here, because the moment that you have seen statements like rage.
Yes.
Some of these persons have used statements like rage.
Yes.
And you know the implication when somebody is talking about rage. So, peradventure, this thing goes beyond peaceful protest to riots, where criminal activities will not take place. Who will be held responsible?
Well,
on the
other hand, Darlington, on the other hand, the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, is saying that the police cannot dictate to citizens how to go about protests, and then has called on security agencies to submit their own names, the names of the officers who will be deployed for the protests.
How does that sound in your own ears? Are you saying as much as Sowore and co? We know about, look, sometimes that's why some people say some of these things are politically motivated. Sowore is a politician. Is he not a politician?
He is.
If a politician is speaking in this way, would you completely say Sowore is 100% an activist? Somebody who has delved into politics and has not been able, was not able to make it, and then is making this kind of statement. I've seen other statements he made. I've read them. But my concern is you are telling the security agencies not to go about their own constitutional rights, not to do what the Constitution provides for them. What if the protest degenerates to anarchy? Well, how would Sowore will be able to control it? Has Sowore been able to guarantee that this protest will not degenerate into rage? You see, that there are things that when people say that they really, I don't think they really look at the implication of their statements or what they are saying. Fine, there's hunger in the land. There's a challenge in the land. But what is the government doing? For once, this government has said, come, let's talk. The government has put so many things in place. Recently, I think the government is trying to bring out palliatives to give to the people and all of that. There's no way, my brother, for gold to become an ornament you could wear. It passes through fire. I've said that severally. For gold to become what you could use from the raw material of gold to where you wear, some people must pay some prices. And so if this government is barely 1 year. And so if we are passing through what we are passing through and the government has certain policies in place, and then they are saying that, okay, you come out, let's talk, so that we'll tell you what we are doing, and then you know what we are doing, then there will be an
But do you think,
understanding
Darlington, do you think that the government left this conversation with the people a little too late? Because if the people are actually seeing what government is doing, will they be making these demands? If the government is communicating strategically with the people, will they be making these demands?
How old is this government in office? That is becoming too late. How old is this, and what is their tenure? 4 years. They are supposed to do first 4 years. And then they are there, and then they've rolled out a lot of policies that you and I have read. And then they are talking about how to implement all of this. You have a right to grievances. People are hungry. We are aware. Certain things have happened. And then the issue of the subsidy is also there. And so what are we running away from? The government, I think, whichever way you want to see it, and I do not think there's any government that is perfect. I do not believe so. I've been in this country for years. I've seen military errors, and then I've seen civilian errors. And so we've been having very bad governments in the past, and then this one also came in on board to inherit from their predecessors, and then they are continuing. Government is a continuum. So if you say you want to protest, I don't think you see, let me tell you something. One mistake we are making. Sometimes we look at what is happening in other climes, in other countries, and immediately want to kill. Some persons want to use that as an opportunity to bring in certain things. My concern here is the security implication. And then when statements like rage, when words like rage are beginning to come into statements made by some of these persons who say they are going to lead this protest, then there's cause for concern. And so the security agencies must stand up to see how they can monitor and ensure that this protest do not degenerate. I just told you about a police station that was attacked. It's in the news. Now the protest has not started. Complete attention of the security agencies have not been diverted. Police have not been deployed completely to go begin to monitor protests in all the places where they want to hold. Now the bandits and terrorists are beginning to unleash mayhem on police stations to further weaken and distract the police attention. And so look, you can only tell when a protest will begin and how it will begin. Would you be able to tell how it will end? Would you be able to say whether that protest will be able to degenerate? The Sowore of this world, who is also a politician, would he be able to control the protesters would he be able to control the infiltration of this protest to stop them from degenerating into riots that will not lead to, and then look at the economic implication of those who live on daily income.
We'll come back to that. We need to bring the conversation back to the studio now. There are some developments we need to quickly address. We've seen, you mentioned some religious groups saying that they are not part of this. We've seen some states also, groups and youth saying they are not part of this. Kebbi State, for instance, the youth, women group have pulled out from the protest, saying that their governor has done enough for them to be grateful for. Do you see other states following suit? Yes, we've heard some voices.
For me,
is that even enough?
No, for me, like Mr. Darlington said, it's not about state government. It's about the people.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, I forgot to mention the 1989 SAP protest led by the current majority leader of the Senate, Senator Okweme Bamidele. He was barely 25 years old, and it was by Nigerian students too, and it was peaceful, and they go with the man. So, like he said, the issue is now we're in a security period where everybody needs to be on guard. We need to listen to the voices of persuasion. We need to make our points very clear and then listen to the voices of persuasion and reasoning.
On whose side?
On both sides.
Right.
The government is saying, we have heard you. No, this president has not missed any speech without talking about the economic situation, the hunger, the hardship, and consistently, continuously, over the last 12 months, you've been hearing this is going on to solve this. Why do you think the government had to go to court to enforce a constitutional
local government authority?
Something that is clear. They don't, local governments in Lagos get their money. They do the same thing in FCT. The same thing happens in Kaduna.
But there are still some hitch.
Yes, eventually. What hitch? Eventually. You need to get a Supreme Court because the president has made persuasion. This government, the government is saying, we will do everything possible to ensure that this hardship is short-lived and at the end will justify the means. Coming to the state governments will continuously persuade. No state government would stop anybody from exercising its fundamental right. What is more important to me are the people. Who are the people? The students, NANS, whether faction 1 or faction 2 or no faction. They've come out to say clearly. The two of them have spoken out. They're not part of it. Yeah. Labour, as told you, is not part of this. Yeah. But because of the fundamental right to protest, I don't think the word is support. They have nothing against people expressing their fundamental right. The religious group, the traditional rulers, in various, people might say they are speaking on that. People might say they are speaking from, they have left the comfort of the state houses. They've gone to their community, they're speaking to them. So what we keep harmonizing, the current security situation, which the government is addressing now, does not allow for a street protest. It allows for intellectual protest and intellectual discourse. Government must make effort to continue to reach out to the organizers, known and unknown. Government.
How would they reach out to the unknown?
No, they are already doing that.
Okay.
If you hear the governor of Lagos, the governor of, you just mentioned, speaking out, if you don't know somebody, you call a group of people. You can't do protests in a community without the knowledge of many other people. So if you don't know who are they, you call everybody. And within them, there will be somebody who knows something that can take back to them. If you know somebody is involved, you reach out to him. And we all know the governments and different states have been reaching out. Let's continue this dialogue. We have 3-4 days. Now, for the fact that it has become a national discourse, means the people are hearing it. So what we need now is to appeal to those, for example, in those days when we are up against military government calling for democracy, we know government knows where they need to get on. They go to 6 and 8 in Maria Crescent in Anthony. That's where Dr. Becker lives. That's the headquarters of CDHR. And they've come to us many times at meetings. At gunpoint, everybody surrender. They will take Becker away, they will take Femi Falana away. After 1 or 2 days or whatever, they will release them. And we keep going. We keep going. We were against the June 12 election as an organization, the campaign for democracy. But we got the voice of reason that, no, this government is not likely to go. Support this move. Let's get the military. And we went, the civil society decided to support the election. And we went for that transition program, now saying, okay, Babangida, we understand you. We now support your transition. Let's have the election. The election ended, we saw the result, and we saw the end product today. So at times, you have a stance, and it is a rigid stand. But voice of reasoning, security in this case, voice of reasoning, the man at the helm of affairs, has come out long before he became president. Don't forget, people say he was part of 2012. That was a protest moved by the Labour and the Save Nigerian groups. Political leaders went there to make their speeches. Did you see them go on violence? No. So nobody he is never against protest. He will love it. As a governor in Lagos State, he allows students to come and protest in front of him. Then he will address them. I was part of Governor Fashola's cabinet, and I can tell you, the Save Nigerian group brought a letter to Fashola to deliver to President Jonathan, listing the demand. Shortly after that, the fuel stuff came up, and that became how you saw people at Garden Farewell. They went to a particular place. They wrote government, we are going to do this, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. These are the people. That is one form of protest. You can also decide not to do that. In this case, they've shown up. They've made their positions known. Some of us are also saying, look, come, you've listed 14 or so things. 15 or so things. Let's pick it one by one. Government says this, government says this. Are you satisfied? If you are not satisfied, let's take the ones that we are not satisfied. You remember during the answers, it was initially 5. The president made 5 for 5. They turned it to 7. The president made 7 for 7. Then on the 5 or the 6, the team went out of court. This protest has listed August 1 to August 10. If you give a date of 10 days for a protest, you are calling for anarchy. Any protest after day 5 will get uncontrollable. Believe me.
Really?
Go and check it worldwide. Go and see Hong Kong. See United States. See UK. There is continuous protest in House of Parliament in the UK. There is continual process at the White House on a daily basis. There is continual process all over the world on a daily basis. Government will not stop you from protesting. But when government, security authorities have security information, which they have shared, that they have fear coming from our recent past, situation is not conducive for a street protest. They are not saying no street march. It's that street protest. Right. The labor, tactically, what are we talking of? Hardship. How do you solve hardship? Put more money in people's pockets. Negotiation of minimum wage from 30,000 to 70,130 or so percent.
They are calling for about 300,000.
No, Labour has agreed. Labour has agreed.
Yeah, but
what the protesters are calling?
Labour, they're just echoing the Labour's demand of 250,000. Right. Labour has agreed because Labour has seen the books. It's not enough for me to say, this is what I want, but you have to look at the books. So we have come to reasoning on minimum wage. We believe, Labour believes with government that this amount that is subject to, and government has told Labour behind the discussion that certain things, health insurance is there, credit facility is there, mortgages are coming
benefiting. All of this is
believe me, I have not applied for the credit stuff, but they've told us how many people have applied. For those who need it, apply. Look, for you to send your kids to school is a responsibility you have. If you don't have the money to send, collect the loan.
So they don't want loans. They want government to give grants.
Indirectly. Who tells you that do you know when President Bill Clinton paid his loan? Or Obama? Obama paid his loan when he was president. Clinton paid his loan when he was president. Even Biden paid the loan when he was already about 20, 30 years in Congress. So student loan is not a loan that anybody forces you to pay. Now we need to, I remember at the point we had this kind of situation and some of the civil society came to government to challenge us, and we called the meeting. And the governor just said, can you just give us the benefit of doubt that we also have common sense? And you know, the guy sat back. I don't want to mention him. He said, you know what? I tend to believe you. Give government the benefit of doubt on this. I am personally, because of my past involvement in things like this, appealing to the younger generation who had always pushed this country ahead. If you want to see how this Nigerian government has moved, how Nigeria has moved over past, go to the Nigerian young adults. I don't say youth, the young adults. Go to the Nigerian women. They have come out. The youth have said, please shelve these protests. Let's come and talk. And I think that is the message I will pass to our
we are now.
people.
And they are insisting on going
I believe in the next 1 or 2 days, the situation will calm down, and is to advise people that please, please, please don't put people in an uncomfortable situation. If you want to protest, that's right, but don't deprive people who wants to go to work. Most Nigerians live on daily pay. It's already tough. Okay. This is not the time to deprive.
Some of these protests you mentioned that were conducted earlier, you mentioned that they were peaceful protests. Why not give Nigerian youths the benefit of doubt to have a peaceful protest?
It's not about Nigerian youths. All the protests I've mentioned have been by women and youths. So it's not a new thing that all over the world, especially in this country, the younger generations have been at the forefront of reforms and change. What we're saying is that the security situation now and then the particular issues that have been listed are currently being addressed. Okay. We need to have patience and want to appeal to them. They have a right to speak. They have a right to express. Right. They have a right to protest.
Established that, but let's quickly get Darlington Umoru's final word on this because our time is up. Darlington, we are where we are now, and these persons are still insisting on going on a protest. What can the government do at this point that we find ourselves?
Let me start by saying that I was somewhere yesterday at an event organized by the Ikeja Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. And I saw a lot of women and youth at that program where poverty alleviation was being provided. When I say poverty alleviation now, taking people away from poverty level was what I saw the Ikeja Chamber of Commerce. Now, these are some of the things most Nigerians should key into. These are some of the things the governments of states should also begin to do for their people. So that when they key into all of this, they find it easy to earn money. I saw lots of retirees at that program in Ikeja yesterday who gave testimonies of how they have been rescued by that Chamber of Commerce. Riot is not the way forward at the moment in Nigeria on the basis of our level of insecurity. Attention should not be diverted from fighting insecurity to begin to look if this riot is allowed or if these people continue with this riot. Do you know the number of policemen that will be put out there to follow these protesters if they have to march from one point to another?
Okay.
You have not thought about that, which meant that all of these policemen will leave their original duty post where they are supposed to man and provide intelligence information for how to handle some of these things.
Unfortunately, our time is up.
Appeal to the protesters. I
believe that your point is clear, Darlington, and they have understood that you're trying to